Good morning. This is Jim from Merlin Guitar Works. Welcome to the video. This time I am working on a tool to cut fret slots. And what this tool is, I saw somewhere else that someone had made a tool. I think there's a company that you can buy this thing from where it's a like a magnetic dovetail jig. And so what it is you put your jig onto the piece of wood that you're trying to cut your dovetail with, and then your saw sticks to the jig. That way you know, get the saw moving around, you can get a straight cut into your piece of wood. So I decided to make something similar for cutting fret slots. And so what I did was I took this piece of wood. This is a piece of alder that I had laying around. It was a square piece, small. So I'm going through and I'm marking all the spots where I'm going to glue magnets into it. You can see here I'm using the thing to mark off all my spots. So then what I do is, you see those little magnets that I had there. I take and drill the holes so that the magnets sit in as close to flush as I can get them without like going inside of the wood, because I want my saw to ride on the magnets. So then I took, and I probably, when I was doing this, I should have used super glue rather than the hot glue, just because the hot glue takes up a lot more space. But it worked well enough for my first attempt at this tool. So I put the hot glue in there, stuff the magnet in there, and then I'm pressing it into the top of the table saw just to get it down there nice and flat and flush. And you see it kind of like sticks to the table. So in this version of this tool I used 5, I think they're like neodymium magnets. They're like ridiculously strong. You can see right here where I stick it to the saw. And if you put it in the right spot, it will actually hold the saw to the tool once it's kind of more balanced. Just like that. So it's pretty strong. So then what I do is I take that thing and I place it down onto my fretboard. On here you see I have everything marked off where the fret slots are supposed to be. And I don't think I really show it that well in the video, but I take the saw and basically place the saw blade directly on the onto the mark that I have on the fretboard, and then put the tool against the back of the saw and clamp it down. So now the clamp is holding the tool in place, and the tool is holding the saw directly in line with my mark, so that I can go through and cut my fret slot. I started off this way, and then I added some tape just so I had like kind of a depth target to hit, so I knew how deep I wanted to make the slots. And so I just start cutting. Just work your way down through, kind of check periodically just to make sure that you're good. But like once you get down to the tape line, you know you're at your depth. And I actually probably needed to go a little bit deeper than I did here, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. So once you're done, you just take the clamps off and you can move it to the next slot, and you're good to go. And it actually works pretty well. You can cut through all the fret slots really quickly. So here's what I'm talking about as far as the fret depth and everything. I actually screwed up the first neck that I made. When I was going through, I had not trimmed it down to the profile of the neck, so I accidentally marked all my fret slots in the wrong spot. It also didn't help that I was using a little bit longer of a truss rod, so it kind of got screwed up. So I ended up having to make a new neck, which you can see on the top part of the video right here. So I used the tool basically to go through and do both sets. And to be honest, the second neck I think is probably going to be better than the first one I did. I had some kind of multiple pieces that I turned and got into sort of a quarter sawn arrangement. And you can see it's actually 3 different pieces. So there's the 2 main pieces, and then they're on the bottom side of the headstock. You can see the 3rd piece that I laminated in there. It's a little bit different color, but once it's all finished and stuff, you won't notice. So yeah, make sure you measure twice, cut once, as they say. Otherwise, you end up with having to make another guitar neck. So, thanks for watching.